Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. Whoops. And okay, roll call, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Connors? Here. Councilmember Lee?
Here.
Councilmember Moore?
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem McCary?
Here.
Mayor Horn?
Okay, I didn't read this, I'll now do it. Now, members of the public wishing to address the city council on items appearing on this agenda are advised to indicate their interest in doing so by submitting a speaker card to city staff or proceeding to the podium one by one at the time an item is considered. Members of the public wishing to address the city council on items not appearing on this agenda may do so during item 5. Each speaker will have the opportunity to speak for up to 3 minutes once an agenda item unless otherwise allowed by City Council. Speakers are requested but not required to identify themselves both on any applicable speaker cards and in comments and testimony. Speakers are advised that their names and any information submitted on speaker cards or otherwise provided in writing to the city may be disclosed or become a matter of public record. No speaker should expect privacy of such information. Okay, so we'll come to the Pledge of Allegiance. Annie, Mayor Pro Tem McCary, would you please
Thank you. Absolutely.
do the pledge?
Please rise and face the flag, and we recite, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, presentations and ceremonial matters. It is Fire Prevention Week. We have a proclamation to approve and present. Yoli, could you read the proclamation, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. City of Laguna Woods Fire Prevention Week, October 5 through 11, 2025. Proclamation, whereas the 2025 Fire Prevention Week theme, Charge in a Fire Safety, Lithium-ion batteries in your home, strives to educate everyone about how to buy, charge, and dispose of lithium-ion batteries safely. And whereas lithium-ion batteries are increasingly used in everyday devices such as smartphones, tablets, laptops, e-cigarettes, e-bikes, power tools, and kids' toys, making them a common presence in homes and workplaces. And whereas lithium-ion battery fires can spread rapidly, release toxic gases, and are difficult to extinguish, creating unique dangers for both residents and first responders. And whereas proper handling, storage, and disposal of lithium-ion batteries, along with safe charging practices, can greatly reduce the risk of fires and injuries. And whereas the City of Laguna Woods offers services for Laguna Woods residents to safely dispose of lithium-ion batteries. Now therefore it be it resolved that the Laguna Woods City Council does hereby proclaim October 5 through 11, 2025 as Fire Prevention Week in the City of Laguna Woods and encourages its residents to practice safe lithium-ion battery habits. Dated this 25th day of September, 2025.
Thank you. Would either of our firefighters like to speak to that? Thank you. I think, say something, I'll know if it's on.
Yoli to the rescue.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor,
Good
members of
afternoon.
the council, city staff, and members of the community. My name's Matt Levesque, and I'm your B-Shift Battalion Chief for the Orange County Fire Authority. And it's my honor to be here today to accept this proclamation for the OCFA and for Division Chief Michael Summers, and to speak to you briefly about lithium-ion battery safety. Lithium-ion batteries supply power to many kinds of our devices, including smartphones, laptops, e-scooters, e-bikes, e-cigarettes, smoke alarms, toys, and even cars. If not used correctly or if damaged, these batteries can catch on fire or explode. Some of the issues that pertain to these particular battery storage devices are that these batteries store a large amount of energy in a small amount of space. Sometimes these batteries are not used the right way, and batteries not designed for a specific use can be dangerous, Like any product, a small number of these batteries are defective and they can overheat and catch fire or explode. Some safety tips I'd like to share are purchase and use devices that are listed by a nationally recognized testing laboratory. Always follow the manufacturer's instructions. Only use the battery that is designed for the device, and only use the charging cord that came with this device. Do not charge a device under your pillow or bed or on a couch or anywhere where if we had a failure with that charging device, it would catch fire and spread to other areas of the home. Keep batteries at room temperature when possible. Do not charge them at temperatures below 32 degrees or above 105 degrees Fahrenheit. And always store batteries away from anything that can catch fire. Some signs of a potential problem with your battery. If you see these, you should stop using it. Remove it from any place that could spread a fire if you can safely do that. If there's any concern for that, you should call 911 and we'll come out and we'll assist you with that. You should stop using a battery if you notice an odd odor, a change in color, too much heat, a change in shape, leaking, or odd noises. Once again, if it's safe to do so, move this device away from anything that could catch fire. If you have any concern with that, just call 911. Or your fire department will respond and assist you with that issue. And finally, when recycling batteries, don't throw your lithium-ion batteries in the trash or regular recycling bins because they could start a fire. You should recycle your devices or battery at a safe battery recycling location. And if you don't know where that is, there's a website that you can access that is call2recycle.org. In addition to fire safety for lithium-ion batteries, I'd like to urge you and all the residents of Laguna Woods to install smoke detectors in every area of your home, particularly in the bedrooms, hallways, functional areas like living rooms. Check those smoke detectors regularly. We recommend to do that monthly. If you have the old style smoke detectors like I do, where you actually have to put the battery in, we've always recommend that you do that with the change in the time, thank you very much, which is coming soon. And then also I'd like to just also reinforce the fact that we all should know and practice, especially with our young ones in our families, exit drills in the home. Have minimum of 2 exits out of every room. Have an idea of where you're going to meet if, unfortunately, you have a fire that occurs in your home. We don't want to be, when we get outside, we don't want to be scrambling to try and find the people that we care about the most. We want to know exactly where to meet. And then when the fire department arrives on scene, we want to convey that information immediately so that we can focus all of our efforts on rescuing any possible lives that we can, and then putting out the fire and protecting your residents. So thank you for this opportunity to speak to you about lithium-ion battery safety and fire prevention. It's been my honor, and I'm willing to take any questions, or I'm available if you have any.
Okay, thank you. Council.
Yeah, I have a question, and I was taking notes as you were talking. And one of the things that you mentioned is batteries when they have like an odor or something, or is there devices themselves that use the batteries may not have the odor? Is that correct? Or so, like for instance, an iPhone or an iPad, something that's plugged into an electrical device. If there's an issue, well, with the battery, if there's an issue, it might not present an odor, but maybe if the device gets heated, or any feedback on devices that get heated when they're...
Sure. Anytime a device that you're powering does something that you don't expect it to do. If you've had an iPhone or let's just say a cell phone or a computer, that every time you plug it in, it's fine, you don't notice anything new with it. And now all of a sudden you're smelling an odd smell. It's getting very hot to the touch. It's making popping sounds, or in my case, I was very lucky. I was charging a computer underneath my bed. I smelled a weird smell. I went to go look at it, and the computer had bulged and separated because the battery had failed. I almost had a significant fire in my home. Wow. Anytime you have anything that's abnormal, you should unplug that from the power source, take it to a safe location and reevaluate it. If you have any concern about it, that should be evaluated by a professional before you charge it again or apply any power to it. Does that answer your question, Ari?
It does, and it also speaks to, I know a lot of people have their devices plugged in when they're sleeping, And that's also a potential for fire if the device gets heated during that charging time. And
Yeah, and that brings a great point is, we're never more vulnerable than when we're asleep, right? So having good maintained smoke detectors in our home in every bedroom is so important. But you're absolutely right. We recommend that when your battery is charged, you don't continue to charge it. There's been situations where they overcharge and then we have a failure of the battery system. So if you're monitoring that, a good practice is once your battery's charged, unplug it. If you're charging something overnight, I would recommend that we probably don't, but we all do it. Make sure that you have a good smoke detector. The smoke detector is the #1 safety item in your home. We've had more people saved by smoke detector activations than anything else in this line of work. So I can't recommend that highly enough.
thank you.
Yes. Anything?
Earl, did you have anything?
Yeah, well, I was at the meeting yesterday, and I was introduced to this product called Fire Blanket that can be ordered very easily, and it's very reasonable. But what it does is when there's a fire, you can cover it with the blanket to put it out, and in case of a small fire. And also, if I'm in a danger, I can also wrap it around myself if the situation arises to protect myself. And it's a washable and reusable, and I didn't know such thing even existed. But that would be something that we could have at home as a preventive, a fire preventive measure. I think it's very handy. So I think that's something that we should be aware of. There's such products, and they're putting out all kinds of things that we don't even know whether it exists or we can take advantage of. But when it comes to fire protection, I think it would be a very good to have fire blankets at home. So I just wanted to share it.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, go
Carol?
ahead, and then I'll speak.
I don't always have the newest electronic devices. And I wonder if I have an iPhone or an iPad that's 2 or 3 years old, does that have a lithium battery in it? Or are they only more recently than that, started using lithium in
So I don't know particularly,
electronics?
depending on your device. I'm not an expert in that area. Generally speaking, for the last 5-10 years, for all this, in general terms, it's a lithium-ion battery, but you'd have to have somebody evaluate that battery to find out specifically. The good thing about these batteries is they're very small and they hold a significant amount of energy, which powers your laptop for quite a long time. So if you're looking specifically for that, you'd have to have that evaluated by somebody who knows what they're doing or works on computers. But all batteries in general have that same risk. We're taking energy and we're storing it in a small capsule, basically, and then we're drawing on that energy. If there's any sort of failure or we haven't charged it correctly or we're not using the right components, we run the risk of having some sort of failure in that, and it's just inherent with using those products.
Okay. And I just want to emphasize that here at City Hall, we do accept small electronics and batteries, including lithium-ion batteries for disposal.
That's great.
Thanks.
Yes, I had a couple of items. One of them is, could you repeat that the website that you said you would go to find out about?
Sure. It's CALL 2 recycle
Is that 2 numeral?
number 2.
TWO.
No, the
The
number
numeral.
2. Yep,
The
the
numeral,
numeral
okay.
2 recycle.org.
To recycle? Thank you. And then, a couple of things. We had a fire recently, and I asked the fire chief about the issue because it was a lithium battery, and you haven't established if that was the cause, but it could be. And we lost 6 cars, as I recall, and as well as 2 garages. And he said, as 2-year cover, he said that the lithium battery fire is so much hotter. Because I asked him, should you try to cover a lithium battery fire? And he said not to do that because, first off, there are a lot of toxins in the smoke, and you don't want to be breathing those in. Those are a critical part of your new job, and thank you for all the service you're providing, but he said not to do that, because I asked you, should you add water or cover it? I know the 3 necessary items for fire: oxygen, heat, and fuel, and he said not to do that. And the other thing is that I think this is a question we need to resolve. Can our golf carts take any battery, or are golf carts that are constructed with a previous battery, can they be converted to lithium? Because it's this excess heat building up. And then another item has to do with the smartphone. I volunteer at the computer lab, and we're of the understanding that when you plug your phone in, I'm not going to speak to all smartphones, I can only speak to Mac because that's what I have, that I don't think you should plug your phone in next to your bed, number one. I think your phone, anything you're charging, should not be where you're sleeping. It seems sensible to me. But the Mac phone, for sure, this is a good question, because it's my understanding that it doesn't overcharge. And I have noticed that when I check my phone, it's later in the night, it'll say it's on slow battery. It regulates itself. Now, I cannot speak to all smartphones because obviously I can only speak to the one, but I think there's some things there that should be more clear to us, and that is, can we overcharge our phone? We know you can with a car, and these are some of the issues that we're having, and once again, can these batteries, are they possible to be used in all devices, or if they weren't intended originally, is that a greater challenge? I think these are things we need to understand. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Did you have any response to any of that? No?
I can speak to some of that for sure. If we start with the first thing, heat, oxygen, chain reaction, the fire triangle. When we have battery fires, they're a little different. And speaking to your suggestion for the fire blanket, most of our fires are usually a hot source that starts something like a piece of paper on fire, then that gets oxygen and it grows. When we're dealing with battery fires, it's typically a chemical reaction. So that chemical reaction is going to continue on in most cases, and it's very difficult for us to control. So it's a little different with the blanket trying to smother a typical fire, which is not a bad tactic. When we have that with a chemical reaction, it's different, because that fire is not being driven by oxygen that we're trying to snuff out. So that becomes a much bigger issue for us. In regards to your the golf carts, I think that would be a question for maintenance or your your folks that deal with those, to determine what the safest and most efficient and cost-effective way to power your carts are. I wouldn't have any suggestion for that. And along the lines of the devices, we are seeing, as you know, we're all carrying phones, we all have smaller computers. All of this stuff is being powered by amazing new battery technology. And I know that many of those devices and companies are building in safeguards to that. I think that's amazing. In my line of work as a firefighter, I always play the what if, and I never trust things that are engineered. I try to get my life in a way to where I put enough safeguards into it that I don't have a mistake. And I'll give you a good case in point. My phone could be perfect, and it could be have all the engineers in it that work great, but if I drop it and hits the right corner and causes a little glitch in something that's programmed in here, or a safety thing, now that becomes a flawed product, and I might have an issue with it. Same thing with vehicles. When you're doing maintenance on a battery, if you have a little nick or a damage, that may cause an issue for that. So I just try. I think it's good practice not charging overnight, making sure that you have your smoke detectors well maintained and checked. And if you have any issues at all, have a professional look at your electric device to ensure it's safe for you to use, or discontinue the use of it. So.
Thank you.
Can I answer anything else?
That happened to my iPhone. It started bulging and getting really, really hot. And I didn't know that it was a battery issue, but I did get a new iPhone because it was getting so hot I could hardly hold it. A question came up at a wildfire awareness thing about cars obviously with ion batteries, e-cars, electric cars, and that maybe people shouldn't park them in a garage that's adjacent to their house. And this sounds like something, if you're sleeping, don't charge it at the, in the same location. Do you think that someone with an electric car should worry about charging it in their garage?
I don't think so. My personal opinion, no. I mean, we have car fires, vehicle fires with all makes and models, different technologies. That's just something we do. Anytime you have a machine that is either powered by some sort of energy storage device like a battery or has gasoline in it or some combustible, you're going to have that threat of some sort of fire, right? So I don't think that that's any more, a battery-powered car, electric car versus a normal internal combustion car. I don't think there's much of a difference in any sort of threat with that. So I wouldn't recommend that.
Okay,
I
because
think we're all right.
you said how much hotter it would burn than, just gasoline. It might be harder to put out.
Yeah, they have inherent differences. It's a chemical reaction versus a normal combustion type fire. It makes it a little bit more difficult, more challenging for us, but doesn't necessarily. A fire is a fire sometimes when it's in a box like a garage. It gets big pretty quick.
Okay.
So.
Okay, well, I'm glad to have an answer to that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Can I answer any other questions for you? Thank you very much for your time.
Other questions? Wait, we have to move and second and all that.
I move the proclamation.
Okay, great. All in favor? Aye. Now we'll do a picture, so just stay right there. We're gonna recess for a second while we do a picture.
Is she an only child?
Okay, so public comments. This is the time and place for members of the public to address the city council on items not appearing on this agenda. Pursuant to state law, the city council is unable to take action on such items, but may ask clarifying questions of the speaker, engage in brief discussion, refer items to city staff, and/or schedule items for consideration at future meetings. So public comments is now open. Would you like to say anything? Okay, so public comments is now closed. Okay, and there's no city treasurer's report and no consent calendar today and no public hearings. So we come to city council business. Mr. Macon.
Well, first, thank you for allowing us to host this additional meeting this month. We're really here today to talk about this specific project, the 9th phase of our ADA pedestrian accessibility improvement project. We had a bit of a timing issue with your regular September meeting, but we are ready to recommend a whole host of actions on this project today. These type of kind of routine contract awards would ordinarily be on the consent calendar, but given that we're gathered here today, I thought I would say a few words about the project. This particular project, it's already a part of your capital improvement program. It's funded entirely using federal money. So we apply for community development block grant funds every year. For the last 9 or so years, we have applied those funds to an annual accessibility improvement project focused on improving accessibility on our sidewalk system. So we've been doing things like sidewalk reconstruction, driveway crossing reconstruction, and more recently installing accessible pedestrian signals as well. So this ninth phase, the award that we have currently is for $250,000. That award, based on how bids came in, we expect to expend over the course of 2 separate bid solicitations. So what we're here today to talk about is phase 9. That's the reconstruction of 2 driveway crossings, which I'll talk about briefly in a moment, and then some additional sidewalk replacements. Long story short, phase 9, when we bid it out, we got really healthy interest. We received 7 different bids to construct the project. The lowest responsive bidder leaves us with about $95,000 or thereabout that will be unspent at the end of the project. And so rather than leave the money on the table and risk having to return it to the federal government, we are moving forward with a phase 9B bid solicitation where we'll be requesting bids to construct various other accessibility improvements. It'll likely be a combination of sidewalk replacements and then the installation of additional accessible pedestrian signals. That design process is underway right now. We would expect within the next couple of months to come back to you to award that contract. Between 9 and 9B, we would expect to expend all or most of the initial $250,000 award. Very pleased to share with you today that the county has informed us that we will be receiving an additional award of $250,000 for a total of $500,000 this fiscal year. We were able to submit a waitlist project as part of our initial application. We were one of 2 cities that chose to submit the waitlist application projects. The county, after awarding the kind of initial allotments of CDBG funding, due to one city returning some of that funding to them, they have additional funding available that will fund in full our $250,000 waitlist project. So this phase 9 project will actually be constructed in 3 different bid solicitations with up to 3 different contractors, 9, 9B, and then 9 expanded scope. That expanded scope we had already spec'd out as part of the budget process, so that includes the installation of accessible pedestrian signals at 6 different intersections. We would expect with that to also include some alternative bid items for sidewalk reconstruction and the like, in order to make sure that we spend all of that $250 as well. But back to phase 9, the main part of this project. That project, the majority of it will be spent on reconstructing 2 driveway crossings. The first driveway crossing is on westbound Santa Maria. We're referring to this in the agenda report as being kind of behind Polly's Pies. So what you're looking at here is westbound Santa Maria as if you've made the right turn from southbound Moulton Parkway. You've proceeded past that first large driveway into the Polly's Pies Center. And then you've reached the second driveway crossing, which if you turn right onto it, you kind of end up at the back of Polly's Pies and then the back of the rest of the inline shopping center. So on Santa Maria, even though the Polly's Pies Center is in the city of Laguna Hills, the city of Laguna Woods is responsible for the entirety of Santa Maria in this area. So we have both sidewalks, all of the travel lanes, and the medians. So the sidewalk that's shown here on the right side is within the city of Laguna Woods. We'll be reconstructing that driveway crossing to comply with current accessibility standards. As a result of that, we will need to do a bit of work on the private property owner's side. So the 2 items that delayed this project from being considered at your most recent meeting were temporary construction easements to allow us to do a bit of work on the adjacent private property. So here we'll just be working on a couple of feet behind the concrete driveway crossing in the asphalt there. Has to do with getting the grade right when we reconstruct the sidewalk, so that we don't end up with like a sharp drop or a weird grade change when you transition onto the private property. The second driveway is on westbound El Toro Road. It is one of the two driveway crossings that serves the Lutheran Church. We have previously reconstructed the main driveway crossing for the main entrance into the church. This first driveway crossing, as you approach from westbound El Toro, will be reconstructed as part of this project. And then same sort of situation, in order to get the grades right, we need to do a little bit of work on their property as well. So there's a temporary construction easement for this property included in the recommendation for today as well. And then the sidewalk reconstruction or sidewalk replacement portion of this project, that includes various panels that our engineering team has identified on Moulton Parkway, El Toro Road, and Santa Maria. So there's a bit of sidewalk replacement going on throughout the city as part of this first phase as well. There's obviously no members of the public here today, but after public comments, our recommendation is in 5 parts today. You're welcome to take them individually or vote on them collectively. But just for the record, the first recommendation is to approve a grant of easement, temporary construction easement, with Church Lutheran of the Cross of Laguna Hills for certain real property located in the city of Laguna Woods, more particularly described as Assessor's Parcel Number APN 616-041-01, to enable the city to complete the Americans with Disabilities Act ADA Pedestrian Accessibility Improvement Project Phase 9, and authorize the mayor to execute the grant of easement and accept the grant of easement on behalf of the city, subject to approval of the grant of easement as deformed by the city attorney. So this one is the grant of easement for the Lutheran Church crossing, and that Church Lutheran of the Cross of Laguna Hills part, that's the legal name of the property owner. The second recommendation here is the second temporary construction easement, this one for the Polly's Pies Center. This recommendation is to approve a grant of easement, temporary construction easement with Vision Star 2 LLC, a Delaware limited liability company, Laguna Woods Pavilion Center SPE LLC, a Delaware limited liability company, Vision Star 3 LLC, a Delaware limited liability company, Vision Star LLC, a Delaware limited liability company, for certain real property located in the city of Laguna Woods, more particularly described as Assessor's Parcel Number APN 616-221-06, to enable the city to complete the Americans with Disabilities Act ADA Pedestrian Accessibility Improvement Project Phase 9, and authorize the mayor to execute the grant of easement and accept the grant of easement on behalf of the city, subject to approval of the grant of easement as deformed by the city attorney. The third part of this recommendation is to approve the Americans with Disabilities Act ADA Pedestrian Accessibility Improvement Project Phase 9 specifications as prepared by the project engineer. And I'll just amend that to say plans and specifications for clarity. And then number 4, approve a notice of exemption for the Americans with Disabilities Act ADA Pedestrian Accessibility Improvement Project Phase 9, finding that the project is categorically exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, and authorize the city manager to cause the notice of exemption to be filed pursuant to applicable law. And then finally, number 5, to award a construction agreement to CT&T Concrete Paving Incorporated for the construction of the Americans with Disabilities Act ADA Pedestrian Accessibility Improvement Project Phase 9, including all 4 alternative bid items included in the bid solicitation in the amount of $104,418, plus authorized change orders not to exceed 20%, $20,883.60 of the base amount, and authorize the city manager to execute a contract agreement and approve change orders subject to approval of the contract agreement as deformed by the city attorney. Again, these items are usually on the consent calendar, so you don't usually have to listen to me read all 5 parts of that. But that concludes my presentation. If there's any questions or comments, happy to entertain those now.
Okay, Cynthia?
I will move the recommended actions, and I want to thank staff for their forward thinking and always having some shovel-ready or budget-ready projects available in the event that there is money coming to us or money available to us for these kinds of improvements. So thanks to staff for that.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Oh, I second.
Second, or
Did you have a statement?
No, so we're approving the whole thing?
we're going to take all
Yes,
4
yes,
together.
okay, yeah, that's fine. Mhm.
I did have a question. First off, I too want to thank you for having that ready. I wanted to have a question. How close are we to having all the ADAs? Do we still have a lot out there?
Well, it's a bit of a moving target. So we still have probably fewer than, I'm going to say 10 driveway crossings to reconstruct. We've been reconstructing the driveway crossings with property owners that are a little more willing to engage with us on it. So we have a bit of a challenge ahead with some of those driveway crossings, and in particular, the temporary construction easements for those sites. Pedestrian accessible signals, the audible signals at the intersection, we should be done with those in, I'm going to say 2 or 3 years' time. Sidewalk replacements, that's the moving target part.
Yes.
Sidewalks pop up all the time, and so we'll always have a bit of that. But I would say that if we think of what we're doing right now, aside from sidewalk replacements as being the accessible audible signals and the driveway crossings, I would say that it would be reasonable to expect that we would have those completed probably within the next 5 years.
Wow.
Or thereabouts. Yeah.
I think that's pretty outstanding because I've seen and walked in other cities, and I didn't realize how much you think of the ADA as mainly somebody in a wheelchair, but actually, pardon me, if you walk very much, the ADA sidewalks are a lot easier. Transmitting yourself across, stepping down from a curb, it's easier if you're at an ADA crossing. So this really has a broader use. The wheelchair is great, and it's even broader use for pedestrians. So
Yeah.
I think it's a very good thing happening.
Yeah, I think all the things that we've done as far as crossings and crosswalks and lights and lowering and has really helped, especially our population a lot, which is what we worry about. And
I think it's been good that we've been able to do it in a very methodical manner. That, when we started 9 years ago with the ADA project, we started primarily by focusing on sidewalk replacements and then the curb ramps at intersections. We've completed really all of the curb ramps in the city with the exception of Moulton and El Toro, which is going to be part of a broader project discussion that we're going to need to have because it is not quite as simple to reconstruct incrementally components of our largest signalized intersection in the city. But we were able to get through the curb ramps, year after year very methodically. When we got through the majority of those curb ramps, then we transitioned to the driveway crossings. We see a light at the end of the tunnel on those. So we started transitioning to also adding the audible pedestrian signals. So it's been good that we've been able to kind of focus on one thing, get it done, focus on another thing, get it done.
Cynthia.
At the Gate 5 crossing of El Toro, we now have easier to reach push buttons to activate the crosswalks. And I find them, when driving a golf cart, I find them very convenient. And I'm looking forward to the expansion on those.
Yeah, so those were actually constructed. They are certainly an accessibility improvement. They were constructed as part of our separate, more recent ongoing program, the Circulation Improvement Project. Those were, I'll say that they're easier to reach crossing or buttons. They're likely going to be limited to that intersection. They're really there because there's a curb underneath the traffic signals. So the traffic signal pole sits up from the sidewalk. So the expansion that we've put on brings the button to the front of the sidewalk so that people don't have to reach up or reach farther because of how it's recessed. We don't believe that situation exists elsewhere in the city, so it's probably going to be limited to those. But I will say that, yes, we have received a lot of positive feedback from, in particular, golf cart users that no longer have to get out of the golf cart to be able to push the button. They can now stay in the golf cart, which is obviously better, and hit it right away. So,
Always looking for ways that we could expand our golf cart trails, but I think we've pretty much gotten everywhere we can right now. So has this been moved?
yeah, moved and seconded.
Move and say all in favor? Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
That was very interesting. So now we come to city council reports and comments. This is the time and place for members of the city council to provide reports on meetings attended, including but not limited to meetings of regional boards and entities to which they've been appointed to represent the city, and meetings attended at the expense of the city pursuant to California Government Code Section 53232.3. Members of the city council may also make other comments and announcements. I know you all made most of your reports at our past meeting. Does anyone have an additional comment or report?
Yeah.
Last week, yeah. Yeah, we had a staff presentation on the outreach program, as well as, is it RIF? It's fire ants.
Red imported fire
So I
ants.
think that's something that we have to, yeah. So anyway, the outreach program activities were increased 19% compared to last year. They had a presentation in 23 different cities, and they continue to promote, bring the awareness of the Vector Company and the activities by putting up a billboard, using the website, using the in-person presentation, and also they have a new partner, a streaming NBC Peacock streaming company. They put the commercial there, which made it very effective. So they were pretty pleased about the efforts that they made this year. And the second one was this RIFA. I don't know what is it's called red imported fire ants. It came to U.S. in 1940 and came to California, arrived in California in 1990. And the significance of the next one, this is the map of the distribution of fire ants. And where we are at the Laguna Woods, we're a very low-risk area. But towards the northern part of Orange County, mainly Anaheim, Fullerton, Buena Park, there were a lot of activities on the fire ants. The next one. Let me see.
Oh, wow.
I had a.
Know that.
It's these red imported fire ants are highly aggressive species, and when you get the stink, it's extremely painful. To the next one.
This is similar to bees, the people who are.
Well, it's similar to. We have something called California. Well, it'll come later. There's another species that are very similar to fire ants. And it's just a very, when these fire ants causes multiple stings, and it can be very, very painful. Did we have a picture of all that, the bites? I don't know whether it was part of that, maybe, yeah. Oh, the California, okay. The one, next one.
Yep.
There is a comparison between the red imported fire ants and California harvest ants. California harvest ants are slightly larger than the red imported fire ants. And when the California fire ants only causes one sting versus multiple stings from the red imported fire ants. Next one. Or these are the staffs that, they deal with. Okay, and once we get the response from the public and the proactive survey, then the fire ant, they take a step for the individual treatment. Okay, the next one. And also the product they use is all EPA approved, low toxicity, low risk, and have no real reentry restrictions. I don't know. Oh. And the tools that they use is like in an area like a golf course, they use the golf cart. And most treatments, tools that use is a leaf blowing vehicles. The next one. Well, this is how they treat the fire ants in California. Okay. So I don't think we had a picture. They showed a vivid picture of someone that had a multiple bites of fire ants, and it can be very, very painful and also create the very serious conditions as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do they have any natural enemies? Do they have any natural enemies? Do you know?
Natural?
Yes, in nature that would eat a fire ant.
There used to be anteaters. I don't know if those are even.
Is that it?
I mean, I grew up with where there were a lot of ants.
Right.
And, you know, I never saw an anteater, but,
Yeah.
There weren't any natural predators where you lived?
well, there were, but I don't think they specifically targeted ants.
That's what I
because
meant,
They have
that
their little
targeted ants.
hives, their beds, and,
Uh-huh.
you know.
There was nothing natural that, all right, they had no dangers then.
No, none that I knew of.
Well, we are in a safe area, very low risk area. I live in the woods.
Low density helps too.
Yeah.
High density always is more dangerous.
Thank you. Any other reports or comments? No? Okay, seeing none. Then we don't have a closed session, so we can adjourn this meeting to Wednesday, October 15th at 2 o'clock here at City Hall. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Madam.